From the shadow of Mount Rainier comes your business superheroes, the Disruptors, Bill and Candace.
I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace.
And we're the Disruptors.
Well, good morning, Bill.
Well, good morning, Candace. We have a special guest today.
Yes, we do. And we are really fortunate to be able to have her. Her name is Kim Stark.
And
so welcome to the show, Kim.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I live in Puyallup here. I work for Farmers Insurance, Chris Faverty's agency up on South Hill. Love my job. Love helping people make sure they're covered. Have not much work. Work is pretty much my main thing.
Oh, you work all the time? No hobbies?
Well, I do play some golf once in a while, and I do have my daughter I love to hang out with. She's a little older now, though, so I won't date myself, but she is on her own. And
she's on her own, yes. Okay.
So, and then I do have this beautiful German Shepherd that runs me around, so...
Oh, you have a dog too.
I do have a dog. Yes, I love her. So.
She has a chicken, you know.
Candace I know.
Yes,
I met Maddie this morning on my way in.
Maddie
yes, I did.
She usually takes the coat, introduces everybody, puts the name tags on. Wonderful chicken. Wonderful chicken.
She did. She's great.
Yeah, we try to keep things down, our costs down as low as possible. What we want to do today is take a look at what we need to do about our car insurance when we go through and either renew or come up with a new policy. What really should we be looking at?
Perfect. That's a lot of people don't, and so that's a really good topic. Basically, it's just there's not a lot to the insurance policy that you need to look at, but the most important parts. There's a few sections that you really need to look at. I kind of wanted to start with like the liability coverage. Liability coverage, there's your liability bodily injury and your property damages. Those are kind of the two main ones. So that's when you're legally responsible or liable for some damages. So basically, if you're in an accident, that's your fault. And you got to take care of somebody else's property.
See, okay.
So with your bodily injury and liability, that's going to pay for people's medical bills. If they get injured, it's going to pay for their medical expenses and any of their personal injuries.
How often, Kim, do individuals not have enough, let's say, of coverage for something along those lines?
And that's where the main concern is too. In the state of Washington, almost all states mandate that we carry at least liability insurance.
Okay.
Here in Washington, the limit is $25,000 for liability, $50,000. Well, it's $25,000, $50,000, so it's a split, which means that it's $25,000 per person, up to $50,000 per accident.
Wow.
So what you have to look at is medical expenses. So
that's no money.
Yeah, you're exactly. So if you're in an accident that's your fault and there's only one person in the vehicle, $25,000, and it's a minor accident, that's $25,000 is probably enough. But if you're involved in an accident that has 3 or 4 people in that vehicle and they all get injured, that $50,000 is going to go pretty quickly.
Wow.
So
that kind of leaves the door open, doesn't it?
Yeah. That's where you want to make sure there's kind of 4 main things that you want to look at when you're doing your auto insurance and looking at coverages. And that's one of them is how far you're driving. Because the more you're out on the road, the higher your risk is going to be. So that's where you'd probably want to have that a little bit higher. You also want to look at assets because your financial... how financially exposed are you going to be if those limits run out? Because a lot of people don't realize that once those limits run out on that insurance, the rest of it comes back on you personally.
So they can attach whatever you own or to balance out the cost.
If you're working, they can garnish you wages. They can...
Holy smokes.
So that's the one thing that you want to look at. So that's where I try to work with people and tell, so what are your assets? How far, what's the value? Also, the value of your vehicle. How far you're driving, and then also who's in the car with you. Are you a soccer mom? Do you have kids? Are you carrying soccer teams, baseball teams? Are you carpooling other people's kids?
Wow.
Are you a mom that helps with field trips, and you've got other kids in your car, or things like that? Those are important assets that you have to think about as well.
What if you use your car as business, like as an Uber driver? Let's say Uber Eats or something like that.
That is outside. Now, Uber Eats is a little different from Ubering.
Okay.
People now, I know as long as with our farmers, they are putting together a program for Uber drivers, Lyft drivers.
Oh, that's awesome.
That will be starting in January, the first, somewhere in
That's great.
first part
we
of
need to highlight
2018.
that.
Yes.
Yes, because right now it's not covered. Your personal auto does not cover your vehicle as a business unless you have it covered as a business. So that if you're Uber driving, things like that, you're going to want to make sure you have some kind of business liability or coverage on it as a business more than just a personal auto, because it will not. If you are Ubering somebody and you don't have that extra coverage and you get in an accident and that person gets injured, your insurance isn't probably going to pay for it because you're running it as a business and not as a personal.
So it kind of opens the door, because a lot of them, I would assume, don't really understand that when they get into the Uber business.
Yeah, and I don't think Uber explains that very well either, or Lyft, when they get in there, that, you know, to make sure. They tell people to make sure you have insurance, and that's good that they do, but yes, it's considered with most insurance companies as a business venture, and it's not personal, so it's not your family members or, you know, your kids or your, you know, like I said, soccer teams, things that are in your personal life. Uh-huh. You're hauling other people, strangers around.
Right.
And so if you injure them, yes. Now, Uber Eats would be different because that's food, but it is still a business venture. So that one's kind of more in a gray area.
Okay.
But I don't know. That would kind of be up to the insurance if you were in an accident. That was your fault how they would decide to cover that, because you're hauling food, not people.
Right.
So.
Yeah. And we're trying to really, the program, to find somewhere that we can put Candace. This would be a wonderful
Bill's always trying to get
new
me to
career
do your
for her.
job.
Yeah,
you know.
there you go.
I can just see it now.
The chicken on top of the car riding with still goggles on, and she could be
That's
running
a
around
good point,
delivering.
though. So I'd have to check and see like what farmers is on the Uber Eats. I know I've looked into the Uber and like the Lyft, like I said. So make sure people that I know that do that are, have the right coverages. But I haven't really checked into that, so I'll have to check into that for you and get back and let you know. On that
Well, that would be a great reason for people to bring their policy into you and have you take a look. I mean, I believe you do that for free.
Yes. Yeah, anytime somebody wants, I'm more than happy to just go over their policies, explain the coverages to them. Because I know most people that are, if they're like me, I never really looked at my policies until I got into the insurance world and started learning all this fascinating information. And so that's why I went to school. That's why I've got training. That's why I'm licensed, because I can go through it and explain it to you in easy terms, just so you know what you have without having to read through all those big policies.
Books.
Yes.
So how often do you think people should go over their policy?
I try to go contact my clients at least every 6 months on their auto renewals, but at least every year or so. I think everybody should review their policies once a year, because life changes. And so things change, and especially younger folks, if they get married, have kids, not only with just the auto, but with your home or different coverages. So if you're, get a roommate, so your life's always changing.
Right.
Sure.
And that's where, usually about a year is a good reference.
I know I have, I meet with my attorney once a year to go over my contracts because laws change and stuff. We meet every year with our insurance provider. And I just think that it's so important. And I also think it's important, too, to have outside eyes looking at what you think is covered or what might not. Because you don't want to have a problem whenever, God forbid, but, life does happen. So if you have a fire or, if somebody gets hurt or, whatever.
Or if you're pushed out of a speeding car on an icy day going around a corner.
Well, but you had people there to pick you up.
That's true. They did. But,
we provided those. That's how Wild Child cares so much about humanity that we made sure to have baseball guys with mitts to pick you up.
Oh, that was wonderful.
I'm still waiting for a thank you.
Well, keep waiting. Keep waiting. I'm not going to rush into that. I got another question. They're doing a lot of advertising now, whereas, the general. Ride with the general, okay? For anonymous, nobody knows who you are, quote. Or this new one that's coming up now that is insured by the mile, where that
sounds weird.
Well, it is. It's on television now. They're talking about, if you
I
don't
don't
drive
own
over.
television.
Well, I understand that. We understand that, Candace. And we're going to try to get you a big screen soon.
Don't want one.
Okay. But, people are driving and getting this idea that they can pay by the mile driving only 20 miles a week or whatever, save your money on your insurance. Isn't that leaving a big hole, a big gap?
It could possibly, yes. Without actually looking, like I said, going over their policies and see what they're actually covering. But yes, it's more about what the insurance is going to pay. And it's funny because not too long ago, because of our winters, and speaking of your icy spin out, with a lot of the claims and everything, the Washington State Commissioner's Office mandated statewide insurance increases back in January, February for all insurance companies across the state. So what a lot of insurance companies have done, instead of raising rates, they've just cut coverage. So they've changed wording and done different things to say that way they can decide what they want to cover and not cover. So there's one that uses acts of God. So if your accident wasn't caused by an act of God,
It was an act of God, Bill.
then they don't have to cover it. But they don't clarify what act of God is.
Oh, that's very clever.
So they can leave that up into their own interpretation.
Sure.
So that's the things that I try to point out to people is you really want to read the wording and see what you're getting into. Yeah, it's a great, you might get a great deal as far as money. Oh yeah, I'm paying $40 a month or $50 a month. But
You're not
when
really
you
getting
need
coverage.
that insurance, yes, it's not going to be there to cover what you need it for. So
It's very
I had no
important.
idea. Did you have any idea that happened?
Well, no, I really didn't. In fact, I just talked to Kimberly about my insurance, and she was nice enough to sit down, go through the policy, talk to me on words that I understand. Don't follow up on that, Candace. Don't
Acts
follow
of
up.
God.
I knew it.
That's my new terminology.
That's your new terminology now.
Acts of God.
And
As you
really,
were sliding, ice skating across the concrete.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful.
It was a beautiful sight.
Beautiful
I
sight.
know. And you drove off so beautifully. I remember seeing the license plate in the back of my vision. The reason I was really excited about the situation is because she sat down and actually went through it. It wasn't a situation of getting on the computer and typing up a bunch of stuff and hoping that the computer man at the other end was going to give me a good insurance rate, not knowing who the heck they are to begin with. It was no sleight of hand, no blinking mirrors, nothing, just facts. No hardcore sale at all, like you would do, Candace. No whip and
I only
chair,
strong arm you, Bill.
nothing. And it was really, really a great opportunity to go over insurance. So I really was impressed. Out of 3 companies that I tried, she was the best. So there you go. And you do have homeowners, because if that rings again in the show, you'll need to get your phone replaced.
There you go, making
Yes.
promises you can't keep.
Whatever
It's an act of
ever.
God.
Yes, it is. Whatever
God's
areas
calling.
that we should. And you don't pick up
And
the
you know
phone.
what? I'm answering.
Whatever other things can we look at to be cued on?
well, the basic ones, like I said, was your liability coverage, bodily injuries, property damage. That's really important for if you do run into somebody. If they're involved in an accident that is your fault, you want to make sure you have that covered so you can take care, the insurance that you're paying for can take care of that for you, so you're not having to worry about that stuff coming out of your own pocket. So those are kind of the couple ones that I like to go over. Like I said, and knowing that we have the minimums, making sure people have that. The other big important one is uninsured motorists or underinsured
Insured
motorists.
yes.
That's a big one, and a lot of people don't, because it's not required in our state to actually carry uninsured motorists.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, 1 in 8 drivers out on the road don't have insurance.
But yet they're mandated to do so.
But they're mandated to do so. So yes, but 1 in 8 drivers is driving out there without any insurance, and at least almost about 30% of them are driving underinsured.
Wow.
Where they don't have enough coverage
What a
for
difference.
what they need. Exactly. So those are another one that's complete, that I really stress to people that's important nowadays, because if you do get hit, I've seen too, and I'm hoping someday that not, like when you do get stopped, and how police run our